A cry in the void space was quiet, cold, and endless. Captain Jace Carter sat alone in his ship, the Starblade, drifting far beyond the normal trade routes. He was a cargo pilot by job, but today he wasn't carrying anything, just running from old memories. Then it happened. A sound, more like a whisper. Ping. The console blinked. A distress signal. Jace leaned forward. The signal was weak, barely there, and coming from a dead zone of space. Sector 9. A place marked red on every star map. No ships went there. No rescues. No questions. People who entered never came back. Jace stared at the screen. Curiosity pulled at him. He knew he should ignore it. Fly away. But something in that signal felt different. He pressed a button and boosted the signal. Static filled the speakers, then a faint voice, not human. Help. Alone. Dying. His hands tightened around the controls. His mind screamed, "Don't do it." His heart whispered, "What if it were you?" He changed course. As the ship moved toward the signal, the stars seemed to fade. Everything grew darker. A strange energy flowed through space here, like something ancient and angry had been left behind. Finally, he found it. A massive alien ship torn open in the middle floated like a broken bone in the void. Its design was nothing like human tech, more organic, almost alive. Parts of it still glowed softly, like it was breathing its last breath. What the hell happened here? Jace muttered. He suited up and entered through a crack in the hull. Inside it was dark and silent. Red liquid floated in the air. Blood, maybe. The walls pulsed weakly like they missed a heartbeat. Then he saw her. A creature. No, a queen. She was tall, glowing faintly blue, her skin smooth like crystal, her eyes closed. Wires or veins were connected to the ship around her, but they had been cut. She was dying. Jace slowly approached. She didn't move. "You're the one who sent the signal?" he asked, knowing she couldn't answer. Suddenly, her eyes opened. Pure white light stared into him. Jace froze. His heart raced, but she didn't attack. Instead, her voice echoed inside his mind, soft and weak. "Help. Please." Jace hesitated. "Who did this to you?" "My own." He didn't understand, but he didn't need to. She was alive. She was scared, and she was alone. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small energy stabilizer. "This might keep you alive long enough to get you to my ship." As he moved closer, the ship around them made a loud groan. Lights turned red. Someone was coming. Outside, a group of unknown ships appeared on radar. Fast. Armed. Not human. They had found her. Jace cursed. He had a choice. Leave her here and escape, or take her and risk everything. He looked at her again. She looked like a queen. But right now, she was just someone left to die. "Damn it," he whispered. "Come on." He lifted her, surprised by how light she was. As he ran back through the broken halls, the alien ships outside began charging. Weapons. His comm system screamed, "Warning! Hostile lock detected." He threw her into the medical pod and jumped into the pilot seat. Blasters fired. The ship shook. "Hold together, Starblade," he said, punching the engine. The ship sped forward, dodging blasts. Jace pushed the controls, harder than ever before. A bolt hit their wing. Sparks flew. The queen, inside the pod, stared at him. Fear? Or trust? He couldn't tell. Just before the enemy locked another missile, he entered hyperspace. Silence returned. His heart was still racing. Alarms flashed. Fuel was low. Damage everywhere. But they were alive. He looked at her pod. She was watching him, eyes glowing softly. "I hope you're worth it, lady," he said, leaning back in his chair. She blinked once. Then, in his mind, he heard her voice again. "Thank you." The words were full of pain. And something else. Hope. Escape isn't victory. Hyperspace roared outside the ship like a storm trapped in glass. Captain Jace Carter sat in silence. eyes locked on the star line stretching across the cockpit. Behind him, the alien queen lay still inside the medical pod, her body slowly glowing again like a fire returning from ashes. The hum of the engines faded into the background as Jace leaned back, breathing hard. Sweat clung to his skin. The fight, too. Escape was over, but only for now. How the hell did I get into this? He muttered, eyes never leaving the pod. He didn't know what she was. Not really. She looked fragile now, almost peaceful. But the memory of her eyes, glowing with strange white fire, stayed with him. She was something powerful, ancient, and hunted. He tapped the console. Damage report. Hull integrity at 54%. Weapons offline. Stealth mode engaged. Fuel at 17%, the voice replied. Great. They were floating on hope and duct tape. He stood and walked to the pod. The Queen's breathing was shallow, steady. Her eyes were closed now. He wondered what kind of life she had before this. Why had her own people betrayed her? Then, her eyes opened. He jumped back, almost drawing his sidearm. You need to stop doing that, he said. Her voice came not through sound, but directly into his thoughts, clearer this time. You are afraid. He swallowed. Yeah. That's because we're being hunted by God knows what. My ship is falling apart and I'm talking to a telepathic alien queen. You saved me. Don't remind me. Silence hung between them, but it wasn't empty. Jace could feel her scanning him, his memories, his emotions, not reading words but feelings. Loss, pain, guilt. Get out of my head, he said, trying to sound angry, but it came out tired. I needed to see who you are. And human. But not like the others. He raised an eyebrow. You met others? We fought them, long ago. They feared us. They feared what we could become. He didn't like the sound of that. Before he could ask, more the ship's warning system chimed. Proximity alert, said the AI. Small object approaching, no life signs. What now? Jace said, turning to the console. A dark sphere floated toward them through hyperspace, spinning slowly. It had no engine, no visible weapons. Then it sent out a pulse. His ship's systems flickered. Lights dimmed. Screens glitched. They found us, he shouted, slamming the controls. How? The Queen's voice entered his mind again. Sharp, urgent. They left a mark. On me. A trace. You're telling me they planted a tracker in your body? Inside my core? Hidden? Only royalty has one. You couldn't have mentioned that earlier? He yelled, diving into evasive maneuvers. Stealth failing, the AI warned. External power drain detected. The sphere began to open. Long metallic limbs extended. It wasn't a beacon, it was a hunter. Jace launched a flare drone, hoping to distract it. The hunter latched onto it instantly, absorbing it like a leech. Damn it. It's feeding on energy, Jace muttered. This thing's alive. The Queen stood up in the pod, weak but steady. She raised one hand. The air shimmered. Lights bent. I can stop it. But it will cost. What do you mean? My link to my kind. I will burn it. Become untraceable, but never able to return. He stared at her. You'd be completely alone. I already am. He looked at the hunter now drilling into the side of the ship. Do it, he said. The Queen closed her eyes. Her body lit up from within. Veins of blue light danced across her skin. Energy surged through the ship. Jace fell to his knees, shielding his eyes. Outside, the hunter screamed. The sound wasn't heard, it was felt. Like nails in the brain. Then it exploded into dust. Silence. The Queen collapsed. Jace rushed forward, catching her before she hit the floor. Her skin was dim now. She looked smaller. Fragile. What did you do to yourself? He whispered. Cut the thread. They can't find me now. But you can't go home, can you? Home is gone. I have only you. Jace sat there holding her. A long moment passed. Then the ship's AI spoke again. Incoming message. Encoded. He stood up and checked the screen. It wasn't from the enemy. It was human, but not friendly. The message was short. We know what you're carrying. Turn her over, or be marked enemy of Earth. Jace looked at the Queen. She met his gaze. No words were needed. He shut off the screen, leaned back in the pilot's chair and said, I guess we're both alone now. Wanted. Dead or alive. The Starblade drifted through a region known only as the Quiet Dark, a stretch of space so silent and empty, most ships avoided it. Nothing lived here. No stars, no planets. Just cold emptiness. But to Captain Jace Carter and the alien Queen resting in his medbay, it was the only place left to hide. Jace stared at the cracked screen of his console. The message from Earth was still blinking. We know what you're carrying. Turn her over, or be marked enemy of Earth. He didn't respond. Not yet. The Queen, he still didn't know her real name, was recovering. Ever since she burned the tracker out of her body, her energy had faded. She looked more human now. Her glow was almost gone, but her presence was stronger. He could feel her even when she wasn't in the room. Like the echo of thunder. Always, just behind him, he walked into the med bay. She sat there, eyes closed, skin pale blue, hands folded in her lap. How are you feeling? He asked. Alive, but broken. Her voice whispered in his mind. I will not heal fully. Not anymore. He looked away. I have a contact. Someone who deals in black market tech. We'll land on Telros 9. Maybe he can fix up the ship, help us disappear. She opened her eyes. Do you trust him? Jace didn't answer. Hours later, Telros 9. Outer Rim outpost, the planet looked like a junkyard. Old satellites and crashed ships littered the surface. Neon lights flickered through thick smoke. Scavengers watched from shadows, whispering. The Queen stayed hidden under a dark cloak. Her glow was gone, but her eyes still shined like glass under moonlight. Jace led her through crowded alleys to a small metal door. He knocked twice. A narrow slit opened. 2 yellow eyes stared at him. Jace Carter, said a rough voice. You're supposed to be dead. I'm full of surprises, Torin. Let me in. The door slid open. Torin was part human, part machine. Half his face was steel. The other half smiled like a predator. He led them into a dark room filled with tech. Illegal, dangerous, valuable. What do you want? Torin asked, eyeing the Queen with suspicion. Repairs, stealth shield, and fake IDs. I need to vanish. Torin laughed. You? Vanish? You're on every wanted board between here and Earth. They say you're carrying a high-value alien asset, a queen. He leaned closer. That her? Jace's hand hovered near his weapon. Just help us. Torin walked around them slowly, nodding. I can. For a price. I figured. Your ship. And her. Jace froze. What? Torin smiled. Do you know how many people are looking for her? You have no idea what she is, do you? She's not just a queen. She's the last of the royal bloodline. She can control minds, Jace, whole armies, even machines. Jace looked at the Queen. She was silent, calm. So what? Jace said. You want to sell her? To the highest bidder. Humans, aliens, doesn't matter. She's not one of us. She's a weapon. No, Jace said quietly. She's not. Torin sighed. You've gone soft. You don't see the bigger picture anymore. Jace pulled his gun. And you forgot who you're talking to. Torin raised a hand. Relax. I won't stop you, not now. But Jace knew better. Torin never gave up a payday. They walked out fast, back toward the ship. As they reached the landing pad, alarms blared. Wanted criminal detected. Jace Carter. Reward. 80,000 credits. People turned. Hands reached for weapons. The Queen grabbed Jace's arm. Run. He didn't argue. Blaster fire. lit up the streets. Jace shoved her behind a stack of crates and returned fire. He hit 2 bounty hunters. More came. Every gang, every mercenary, they all wanted the same thing. Her. The queen suddenly stepped out, eyes burning white. She raised a hand. Everyone froze. Even time seemed to stop. Jace's ears rang. His mind felt crushed. Then she lowered her hand, and everyone dropped. Unconscious. Not dead. Just sleeping. Jace stared at her. What did you do? I reminded them of peace. Their minds could not hold it. So they slept. Jace helped her back to the ship. She was shaking now. The power had cost her something. Inside, they lifted off just as more bounty hunters arrived. Laser fire followed them into the sky, but Jace was already punching in hyperspace coordinates. As they jumped into light, he looked at her again. You didn't kill them. Death is easy. Mercy is harder. He sat back, thinking about everything. He had a choice now. Every side wanted her. Earth would brand him a traitor. The alien empire wanted her dead. Black market dealers wanted to sell her. But she had chosen him, and he had chosen her, no turning back now. The price of loyalty. The Starblade limped through deep space like a wounded animal. Inside, sparks popped from a torn console, smoke curling in the air. Alarms flashed red, but Jace Carter barely noticed. His focus was on breathing. Each one felt heavier. Blood soaked the side of his shirt. He said, voice cracking. Damage. Report. Life support failing. The voice replied calmly. Pilot injury detected. Critical. Jace chuckled dryly. Yeah, no kidding. Behind him, the alien queen appeared, her cloak pulled tight around her glowing form. Her eyes locked on the red spreading across his body. She knelt beside him, hands hovering. You are dying. Thanks for the update. Her fingers touched his chest gently. Her touch was cold, not in a cruel way, but in a deep, ancient way, like touching moonlight. You took this for me. He didn't respond. Back on the mining outpost, they had walked straight into a trap. A fake transmission. Jace was shot protecting her. It hadn't been a clean wound. Energy rounds poisoned the blood. Every minute mattered now. He looked at her, barely able to keep his eyes open. I don't regret it. You will die if I do nothing. And what can you do? Something forbidden. Something final. She stood. The medbay lights flickered, then pulsed. Her eyes shone brighter than ever before. Can give you a part of myself. My life thread. My essence. It will bind us. But I will be less. He tried to sit up. You mean you'll weaken? No, she said softly. I mean I will no longer be a queen. Not by their laws. Not by our code. He stared at her. Pain blurred his thoughts. Why would you do that for me? Because you did not treat me as a weapon or a threat. You treated me as something worth saving. He coughed, blood touching his lips. So this is the price of loyalty? No. This is the cost of choosing your own fate. She placed both hands on his chest. A soft hum filled the ship. The walls pulsed with light. Jace screamed, not from pain, but from the feeling of something massive and ancient entering his body. He saw visions of her world, once full of crystal cities and starlight seas, of her people, once wise, now twisted by pride and fear, of the betrayal that stole her throne, and then of himself. Through her eyes, a fragile, stubborn human with a damaged ship and a bigger heart than he understood. The light faded. Jace blinked, gasping. The wound was gone, but the queen had collapsed. He caught her before she fell. Her glow was dim now. Almost gone. Hey, no, you stay with me, he said, holding her close. You didn't just save me to give up now. Her eyes opened weakly. We are connected now. Through the thread. If you die, I die. He stared at her, heart pounding. What? Why would you do that? Because I don't want to go back to being alone. His jaw clenched. He didn't have words for what he felt in that moment, but he knew one thing. This wasn't just a mission anymore. This was something. More hours later, they landed on a small moon near a dying star. Abandoned outpost. No one else around. Jace stepped out, the Queen beside him. Her light was faint but still there. They searched for supplies. The base was quiet. Too quiet. Then Jace spotted a motion sensor blinking red. We're not alone, he whispered. The Queen stopped. They followed the thread. Even after I severed it, someone still remembers. Ambush. Trap. A shot rang out. Jace shoved her behind a metal beam returning fire. 3 figures emerged. Not human. Cloaked in black armor with silver eyes. No voices. Only silence and precision. Royal. Assassins. The Queen whispered their names through Jace's mind. They were once my guards. Now, they are the Empire's blade. They didn't speak. Didn't hesitate. They only attacked. Jace fought hard, but they were too fast. One slashed his shoulder. Another kicked him into a wall. Blood again. The Queen stepped forward. Weak. Trembling. But determined. Leave him. Take me. The assassins paused. Jace looked up, stunned. Don't do it. I won't let you die again. One assassin raised his blade. Then something happened. Her eyes flashed. Not white. Gold. The ground cracked beneath her feet. The air shimmered. The assassins froze, visibly shaken. You forgot who I am. Her voice thundered across their minds. I am still of the blood. I am still your queen. The assassins hesitated. One knelt, then the others. She walked forward slowly, her voice calm, but commanding. You will leave this place, and you will tell the Empire. The Queen chose her side. The lead assassin nodded, and they vanished. Later, back on the ship, Jace sat in the cockpit, bandaged again. She stood beside him, looking at the stars. You didn't have to do that, he said quietly. Yes, I did. So what now? We just keep running? She turned to him. No. Now we stop running. Now, we find the ones who betrayed me, and we make them answer. Jace smiled. You sure you're ready for war? I'm not the Queen they fear anymore. I'm something worse. Enemy of my enemy. The Queen dreamed of fire, of her city. Velazari, the shining capital of her people, burning under black skies. Once a place of harmony, its towers had fallen, consumed by war and betrayal. In the dream, she stood alone on the balcony of the royal hall, her people bowing not in respect but in fear. When she woke, she was cold, but not alone. Jace was already up, adjusting wires inside the engine room of the Starblade, his arm freshly bandaged. They hadn't spoken much since the assassins bowed to her. Something had shifted between them. Something neither of them fully understood. You were screaming in your sleep, Jace said without looking back. I remember my home, she replied, and the man who took it from me. Jace paused. Your brother. She nodded slowly. His name was Valther. Born after me, raised beside me, but always in my shadow. He believed the throne should be his. Jace leaned against the wall. And he's the one hunting you? Not just hunting. She looked at him, eyes flickering. He wants my power. He believes if he kills me during the rising eclipse, he can inherit my bond with the ancients. The eclipse, Jace asked, a rare event, when the stars align, and the royal blood is most connected to the source. How long until then? 5 days. Jace's jaw tightened. Then we stop him before that. She smiled slightly. And how do you suggest we do that, Captain? He looked at the star map. By doing something crazy. Somewhere in the galactic underbelly, the place was called Gravemind. A station built from the bones of a dead leviathan, drifting between forgotten trade routes. It was home to smugglers, bounty hunters, and ghosts who preferred to be left alone. Jace guided the Starblade through debris fields, ignoring the warnings from the AI. "We shouldn't be here," he said, "but we have no other choice." "Who lives here?" she asked. "Someone who hates the Empire almost as much as you do." They docked. From the moment they stepped off the ship, eyes followed them. Rough men, scarred women, cybernetics, glowing. Tattoos, weapons strapped to backs. And in the center of it all, in a throne made of broken starfighter wings, sat Cale Drake, a war criminal, pirate, and once, the Queen's would-be assassin. He smiled when he saw her. "Well, well." "The ghost returns," Kyle said, standing. "You still look royal, but not as shiny." Jace stepped forward. "We need your help," I figured. "You only crawl here when you've got nothing left." Kale walked around them, inspecting. "I heard about your brother. He's building a fleet, wiping out rebel systems. Rumor is he's looking for something ancient." "He's looking for me," the Queen said. Kale grinned. "And I suppose now you want to stop him?" "We do." "We?" Kale looked at Jace. "You've got a strange taste in company, Captain. Saving a dethroned alien goddess? You planning to sell her or marry her?" Jace didn't smile. "I'm planning to kill her brother." Kale's face turned serious. "I may hate the Empire," he said, "but you're asking me to go to war with the crown prince of a dying species." "You've fought for gold before," the Queen said. "Fight now for revenge." Kale stared at her for a long time. Then, he nodded. "You'll need more than me. I'll call in favors, debts. There are others who remember your rule, some still loyal, most broken. But if you give them a reason—" "I will," she said. Later, in the war chamber of Graveminda table lit up with holograms, ship formations, star positions, orbital defense grids, Kale pointed at a blinking red dot. "This is Nexora, your brother's base of operations. He's building something there. A weapon. They call it the Sun Eater." Jace frowned. "What does it do?" "Drains stars. Kills systems. Ends civilizations." The Queen looked stunned. "That was forbidden. The ancients warned us. Such power corrupts everything it touches." Kyle nodded. "Looks like your brother didn't get the memo." A scout ran in, breathless. "They know," he gasped. "The Prince's fleet. It's coming. They tracked your signature when you used your power on Telros." Jace cursed. "How many?" "Not a fleet. Not yet. Just one ship. But a big one." "A warning," the Queen said softly. "He's giving me a chance to surrender." Kale laughed. "What a gentleman." Hours later, outside Gravemind, the enemy's ship hung like a mountain in orbit. It blocked the stars. A voice echoed through all channels. Smooth, sharp, familiar. "My dear sister, you've run far enough. Give yourself up. I promise. Your death will be quick." The Queen stepped forward, eyes burning. "No fear. I am not the girl you betrayed, Valthir. I have seen the edge of life and come back stronger." "Then die with your pet human," came the cold reply. Blasters fired. Gravemind lit up. Kale's forces returned fire. Ships launched into orbit. Chaos erupted. Jace ran to the Starblade. "We need to leave." "No," she said. "We make our stand here. If we run now, no one will ever follow us." He stared at her, saw something new in her. Not just a queen, a leader, a fighter. His queen. Brothers wore the sky above Gravemind turned black as the enemy dreadship blotted out the distant stars. Its surface shimmered with dark metal and ancient glyphs, humming with a pulse that felt like it came from the heart of a dying god. From orbit, hundreds of dropships began to descend, glowing red like falling embers. Kale stood on the watchtower, a blaster rifle in one hand and a detonator in the other. "Well," he muttered, "so much for subtle." Inside the war room, the Queen stood motionless, staring at the live feed. Her eyes flickered. No longer blue, not gold. Just fire. Jace paced behind her. We can't fight all of them. We don't even have a proper army. Kale walked in, eyes sharp. You have something better. A symbol. They don't follow you because you're strong. They follow you because they remember what it was like when your rule meant peace. The queen turned slowly. Then it's time they remember again. Battlefield. Surface of Gravemind as the enemy troops landed. Chaos exploded. Kale's forces, smugglers, rebels, defectors, fought from the shadows. Improvised weapons, guerrilla tactics. They weren't soldiers, but they had nothing to lose. Jace fought beside them, blaster in hand. For the first time, he felt like more than just a pilot. He was part of something, a rebellion, a cause, a war, and at the center of it all was her. The queen no longer hid her power. She moved through the battlefield like a storm, enemies froze in place, their minds crushed under the weight of her will. Metal twisted in the air around her, energy danced along her arms, but each time she used that power, her body weakened. Jace saw it. The way her hands trembled after every strike, the flicker in her eyes, she was burning herself to protect them, and then everything stopped. The duel, Queen versus Prince, a new ship descended. Not a drop ship, but a throne ship. Black, sharp-edged, elegant and cruel. It landed in the center of the battlefield, pushing, wind and dust in every direction. From its ramp he emerged. Valther. He wore armor made from fallen stars and bones of extinct beasts. His eyes glowed red, not from rage, but from control. Calm, sharp, calculating, a mirror of the queen. Twisted, he smiled when he saw her. You look tired, sister. She raised her chin. You look empty. He walked toward her, ignoring the chaos still burning around them. You're wasting your gifts on this rebellion, on these broken creatures, he said, glancing at Jace with disgust. Jace raised his blaster. You want her? You come through. Me. Valther didn't even look. With a wave of his hand, the blaster exploded in Jace's grip, knocking him to the ground. The queen rushed to Jace's side, helping him up. Valther stopped. Still protecting him? Still pretending you can be something less than what you are? I am more than blood and power. I am more than the throne. No, he said coldly. You're running from what you were meant to be. And now you're weak. He opened his hand. A pulse shot from his chest. Black lightning. The queen screamed, pushing Jace out of the way, taking the hit full force. She was thrown backward, crashing through a wall. Valther walked to her slowly. Surrender. Your core. Give me the bond, I will spare this world. She coughed blood but rose to her knees. Never. Valther raised his arm again. Jace, barely standing, shouted, She's not alone. Kale's snipers opened fire. Hidden explosives triggered. The battlefield erupted again, but Valther remained untouched, his body shielded by an invisible field of dark energy. You delay the inevitable, he said. The turning point. The queen, lying in the rubble, reached into her chest, into the core bond that still burned within her. Jace ran to her. What are you doing? I have one last thread to pull, but if I do this, I may not survive. Then don't, Jace said, gripping her arm. There has to be another way. There isn't. This power doesn't belong to rulers anymore. It belongs to something new, something broken, something human. Jace's eyes widened. What are you saying? I'm giving it to you. Before he could argue, she pressed her hand to his heart. The bond transferred. Light shot from her chest into his. Energy rushed into him like fire and memory combined. He saw her whole life, her pain, her hope, her loneliness. And then he was standing, taller, stronger, glowing. Valther turned, shocked. What have you done? Jace's voice echoed, now fused with hers. You took her throne. But you'll never take what made her powerful. Valther charged and the final battle began. Bound by fire, the battlefield was burning. Above, the sky churned with fire and shadow lit by the wreckage of fallen ships. Below, metal cracked under booted feet as Jace stood in the ashes of what had been grave-mined. His eyes, once human, now glowed faintly gold. Not fully alien, not fully man. Something new. Beside him, the alien queen knelt in the rubble, weak, her glow barely visible, and before him stood Valther, prince of a dying empire, blade of the old world, and his final enemy. The silence between them was louder than war. Valther looked Jace over, sneering, "You're not worthy of the bond." Jace didn't speak. He stepped forward, each step heavier than the last. Power burned through his veins like lightning trapped under skin. The queen had given him everything, her past, her essence, her pain, and her hope. Now it was his turn. Valther raised both hands, calling on the Sun Eater, the ancient weapon orbiting the battlefield. Above, the machine bloomed open like a black flower, beginning to absorb the nearby star. "I will end this galaxy," he said coldly. "Then I will rebuild it in my image." The queen whispered faintly, "Jace, you must stop him. If he completes the ritual during the eclipse, the bond will be his again." The light began to shift. The eclipse had begun. Time was running out. The final duel. Jace surged forward. Blades of golden energy formed around his arms, instinctive and raw. Valther met him with a whip of dark matter, cracking across the field like a thunderclap. They clashed. The power of the ancient bloodline versus the soul of a human who refused to give up. Energy cracked through the ground. Old ruins shattered. Grave mines shook with every blow. Explosions from orbit rained fire around them. But Jace didn't back down. Valther roared, "You fight with borrowed strength." Jace shouted back, "No, I fight with chosen strength." And he struck. The blow wasn't perfect. It didn't kill Valther, but it broke something deeper. His rhythm, his confidence, his control. Valther stumbled and for the first time looked afraid. Sacrifice behind them, the queen struggled to stand. She looked up at the Sun Eater. The weapon was nearly charged. Her voice entered Jace's mind, weak but clear. "If we destroy the core now, the backlash will kill him, but it might kill you too." "Might?" Jace replied aloud. "The bond wasn't made to survive this kind of transfer. If you push it, it will burn you from the inside." He looked at her, then at the dying sky, and he smiled. "Then I guess we both go out on fire." The bond ignites. Jace closed his eyes. He let go. He stopped holding back the bond, stopped filtering the power she had given him. He let it all pour out. Rage, grief, love, loyalty. His body became light. Pure golden fire erupted from his core, striking the sky like a signal to the gods. The ground split open beneath his feet. Valther screamed, trying to shield himself, but it was too late. The energy struck the Sun Eater and ripped it apart. In orbit, the weapon detonated in a blinding light. Shockwaves spread across systems. The threat that could devour stars was gone. Valther collapsed, dying. He looked up at Jace, barely breathing. "You were just a human." Jace knelt. "Yeah, and that was enough." With that, the prince faded into ash. Aftermath. Jace collapsed beside the queen. His body flickered with dying light. The bond was breaking. She crawled to him, cradling him in her arms. Tears, real ones, ran down her cheeks. "You saved them all. You saved me." He coughed. Was never just about saving. It was about choosing. What did you choose? You. His light faded, but as it did, something strange happened. Instead of death, the bond rebirthed itself. Not as royalty, not as a weapon, but as something new. A bridge. Energy from both of them flowed out across the battlefield. Broken rebels stood straighter. Old machines hummed back to life. Wounded planets, long forgotten, flickered on nearby star charts. A new legacy was forming. Not an empire, not a throne. A future epilogue. 3 months later, the galaxy changed. The old royal line was gone. The empire fractured. Survivors whispered stories of the fireborn human and the last alien queen. Some say they died that day. Others say they walk among the stars still, helping the forgotten, guiding the lost. On a quiet moon, far from the war, a small ship rests beside a river of light. Jace sits under the stars, a soft glow still in his eyes. The queen stands beside him, her hand in his. No throne, no crown, just the fire they carry together.